guys. Well, thank you very much. I've got a very special guest with me today, Nate Sear up in New Jersey. Nate, say hello.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you for being with us. So Nate closed his first deal, I guess it would have been 2 Fridays ago. And it was a great way to go into the weekend. I got a text message, I don't know what time, late afternoon, maybe an early evening from Kyle, said, deal closed. And I said, is Nate going to have a good weekend? He said, Nate's already having a good weekend. So that was a special thing to hear at the end of the day. So certainly congratulations. And as I was sharing before we got started, you're one of our favorites around here. Just a great guy and really somebody we're really proud and honored to have as part of our team and part of our family. So thanks for being a great guy and for doing a great job so far. What I want to do, Nate, just for the sake of the example and certainly for ways that we can help with some of the other folks and just want to walk through the deal chronologically, mechanically, as I shared with you before, what you did right, what you could have improved, or maybe what would you have done better or differently, and are there takeaways or tidbits of advice that you might be able to share? We'll just kind of go from there. So first and foremost, one of the things that we took away behind the scenes, you may or may not even be aware of, is the fact that it was a lower priced house, I guess, considering the range of houses that we work with, but the money that you made was fantastic. And so the reason I start with that, because again, that was kind of what caught us from behind closed doors. And so as far as the price point was concerned, what was the final sale price? And we're going to walk through that, but just to touch on that point, what was the sale price on that, Nate?
So sold the property for $115,000.
Fantastic. And ultimately you made, if I'm not mistaken, 10 up front, and you got 5 coming in the back, correct?
Correct. That's
Great.
correct. Yeah.
Great. And we'll walk through that. So, but again, on that price point, and we've opened up our parameters, we are calling, obviously, depending on where people are and the availability of homes will dictate whether we increase some of the market territory and market pricing. But it's important for people to recognize that you can still make really good money on houses that don't have to be, tremendously expensive. So, all right. Well, first and foremost, where did the lead come from? Was that a lead we generated for you here?
It was. So I was an early addition to the pilot program, and it came from, I believe it was Tim, if I'm not mistaken. And the gentleman that owns the property lives out in Oregon, and he used to live in New Jersey, had the property for a while. I think his dad lived in it as well. It was a condominium, and he had tenants in there that were terrible, like just the worst, and really dealt with a bunch of nightmares with it. And through talking with him, he saw the value in our exit strategy for him and being able to get a good return on his investment. And he also liked the fact that there were no potential landlord responsibilities with us. Even though, and Kyle and I joke about the seller, because he's like, he has to know every little detail. So that has been very funny. There's no landlord responsibilities for him, but he wants to know what color shoelaces they have. But
Gotcha.
So
well, let me stop right there just for the sake of what you just said. So number one, you had effectively a tired landlord. We run across those, I guess, fairly consistently. You have tenants that may not be ideal. Many people can't handle tenants, and my wife told me that the other day, that not everybody's meant to be in real estate, and I had to kind of let that sink in there. But you get the tired landlord. So now you have someone who doesn't want to deal with tenants anymore, can still recognize the cash flow and what we kind of call a hybrid. They can still generate cash flow, and they still have the benefit of that. They relinquish the landlord responsibilities. Then, of course, there's an exit strategy that is built in with a fairly aggressive or close to a fair market price. So it can be very appealing for landlords. Sounds like that was the case here, and still wants to be kind of a landlord, just doesn't want to do the work, wants to know the shoelace colors, but no work involved, right? So, all right, so we find the lead here, pilot program. It's great to hear. Love that the guys are putting some good deals together. And I heard you mention Kyle. Kyle's one of our favorites as well. So safe to say Kyle did a good job working with you on the deal.
Yeah, he did. And it was definitely something that he and I talked about quite a bit.
Good.
It was a property that I had under contract for a little while. So I was many times reaching out to him, picking his brain on how to maybe kind of best approach things and do some different marketing things. And trying to avoid fines from the town and that type of thing with like the bandit signs and that stuff. But I got to know the folks in the township pretty good, so I asked for forgiveness over permission, and that worked for me. But
I want to know more of that. So, all right. So you go to the house now. He's not here. He's in Oregon. So was the home empty, or were there folks living in it?
Yeah, the home was empty,
Okay.
and the neighbor is a friend of his, and the neighbor actually let me in, showed me around, and I took a look at it, took pictures, and then had another phone call with the seller afterwards.
And was the condition of the home post-tenant decent, or could you tell that there had been some wear and tear?
So you could tell there had been some wear and tear. The couple of the things that were redone recently, so the fresh carpet throughout the whole property. Everything was painted from top to bottom. The bathrooms were older and outdated, and the kitchen had cabinets that were in bad shape that I felt if they were painted would really kind of help out there. And then also the countertops in the kitchen had seen better days, but
okay.
It was definitely something that was livable. You could move in and take occupancy right away.
Okay. But many times when you walk into a house that's been rented for any period of time, certainly an extended period of time, many times you can see it's been kind of a rental place, hasn't been maybe maintained as much as a homeowner. Doesn't mean it can't sell or won't sell, but would you say that hindered maybe a quicker sale, the condition of it, or did that have nothing to do with it?
It did. It definitely hindered the sale of the property and slowed things down. And something I learned about myself is just the amount of communication that I need to have with the seller of the property based on the feedback that I'm receiving from the marketing that I have out there. So learning all of that from this process has helped me know that, hey, I really need to make sure that I'm touching base with my sellers every week or every 2 weeks, but then also truly being honest and just giving them the feedback that I'm getting when I'm showing it to people. Even if they are qualified or not qualified, just the feedback that's there. Because at the beginning, I had given him my opinion on some of the stuff, and he's a hard-nosed guy, and wasn't too sure about my opinion, but
Sure.
I didn't keep me from putting it under contract and wanting to give it my best to try and sell it.
And that was actually going to be my next question, because we've had a couple that we question whether we should proceed after we put them under contract. And we've actually had a few that we've canceled after we put them under contract. One comes to mind in particular, but it crossed your mind. You looked at it and you didn't hesitate, but obviously the condition spoke for itself. And so a couple of takeaways that you just shared, I think, are important. Is number one, communicating with the seller. In fact, we just did a video recently. We try to train this, and we mentioned every training, but you've got to communicate every week or every other week. Otherwise, people forget you're even there. And it sounds silly, but it's really true. And it sounds like you experienced a little bit of that. Sounds like you also had a seller that maybe a little bit higher maintenance than normal, but maybe not. I guess, that would depend on who you're comparing it to, but communicating, very, very key. Second part that you said I thought was very good is that you shared the market feedback. Don't shoot the messenger, right? You're just conveying to the seller what you're getting. It's interesting, though, is here you come in with a critical professional eye, doesn't want to take your insight as much as somebody who is walking through it as a potential buyer. But Nate, did you deliver any of those kind of customer feedback points in a soft way? Were there any comments about the home that you felt you needed to deliver in maybe a little bit more of a delicate fashion, or did you just kind of shoot the seller straight?
So I shot him straight, but I didn't do it maybe how I would explain it to you.
Okay.
I definitely explained it in, maybe more of like when you're dealing with a client or a customer type of fashion. And I think that helped somewhat and helped him want to do certain things to the property to try and help with it. One of the challenges that we had was over the period of time giving him the feedback, and it was at this point consistent. Trying to get some of the things taken care of was a little bit of a challenge because of all that was going on with COVID.
Yeah, sure.
And then also he's on the other side of the country, and he wants to, he wanted to, in a sense, control most things. But we had a good relationship, and we're able to communicate back and forth well. He also is one of the only guys that I've dealt with that only wanted to deal through email, because he doesn't hear that. He doesn't hear that well. And that was something that he and I would have a phone call, talk about something. I'd give him the feedback, and then he'd want it in an email. And you can't judge tonality in an email,
Sure.
and trying to be kind when you're delivering stuff it takes a little bit of time to kind of wordsmith that. But
Yeah. I can see that the hearing challenges just added to the equation even more. So now you took a few moving parts with the condition of the home and someone that has trouble hearing it and trying to convey that in a soft way. I can see the challenge. So yeah, you had some challenges through this one. So all right, so we got under contract. What was the original asking price from the seller?
The original asking price of the seller was 105,000.
Okay, so we got under contract there, and you took it to market at 115.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And felt good about the values, and obviously the market responded. Obviously, we always want people to do market analysis and make sure that we are not overpricing. Between 105, 115, obviously you're within a realm as long as the seller has priced it accordingly. If you said I put under contract at 105, I took it out at 165, and I didn't do any comps, I'd probably be wanting to know a little bit more why, but that's not the case here. So, all right, so get under contract. Obviously, some conditional issues. Did you have any challenges taking pictures? Or was it just what it was?
No issues taking pictures. It
Okay.
just kind of was what it was.
It was.
And the pictures painted it in a pretty decent light.
Okay.
So that wasn't too much of an issue. The concerns more so came up when people saw it closer in person.
Gotcha. So, okay. So tell us about your marketing. You mentioned the township. You made some friends through the process. What did you do to market, and ultimately want to hear how you found the buyer, but tell us a little about the marketing and some of the bandit signs as well.
Sure. So I had the Zillow posting, and all of that was updated. He gave me his information, and I was able to post all the pictures and the ad copy that I wanted to there. Through Craigslist, I would post 2 ads a day, or one in the morning and one in the evening, and then alternate. And the next day I had 2 other ads. So I had 4 different ads that would run for the property. And I would get responses through email, text message, phone call. I did run some ads on Facebook. Had an okay response from that. The majority of the phone calls and things I got were from more local things that I had going on. I did do some bandit signs, and I did get some phone calls from bandit signs, some from potential clients or buyers, and some from some folks that were really unhappy with me for putting them out, saying that it's not allowed in the township and you could be fined, and I would recommend taking them down. And I apologized, and I said, okay. I said, well, what would I need to do to be able to obtain a permit so that way I could have these? Because it would be something I'd be interested in pursuing. Am I able to come in and meet with you? And this was before COVID. And she said, oh, well, let me ask you a question. Are you a nonprofit? I said, no, I'm a for-profit company. And she said, there's not really much for us to meet about then, sir. So I didn't do much with the bandit signs. They were up for a weekend. I did get some phone calls, which was nice, but it turned out that just wasn't able to do it in the town there.
Okay. I'd be interested to know more. I can speak locally in Jacksonville. We have the ability to pay for a permit. It's $25, and we actually get 4 numbers for 4 different signs, and you can use that for a year. Now they have rules. You put them up Friday, pick them up Sunday, but they are technically allowed. And so what we find is some areas are stringent, some are not as much. And so obviously where you are is fairly stringent. So you got some calls on it, and no fines, but effectively don't put them up again. So as we go forward, kidding aside or smiling aside, I would be curious to know if it's possible, if you're a nonprofit, to obtain a permit. I would be very surprised that was the case, but I'm not up there. And I do know that every township, county, city, state have their own local regulations and things of that nature. So it's a shame. Bandit signs are one of those things we say are kind of necessary evils. They can be cumbersome sometimes putting out and picking up, but they really can make the phone ring. So is it safe to say your buyer did not come from a bandit sign?
Yeah, the buyer did not come from the bandit sign. She came from Craigslist post.
Okay. And was there anything special about the post that stuck out to you? Was there a good subject line? Was there a header, I should say? What do you, anything about the ad that you think might have spurred her interest?
Yeah, yeah. The subject line was "Quit throwing money away at rent,"
Like it.
and I think it also had in there 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath condo. But at the beginning of it, it was "Quit throwing rent money away."
Fantastic. So buyer calls in, and when you were on the phone with her, were you able to find out what she was working with as far as her down payment's concerned?
So I was, and some of the first communication was done through text message, and then developed into a phone call. But I basically just through the phone call just let her know that, asked her what her current situation was. She said she was looking for a place to move. She said she owns a home now, and she's looking at purchasing another one. The home she owns now, she has as a rental, and she's living in another place, and her lease is about to expire. And she asked about our program, and I said, well, basically, we work with anyone that could afford a mortgage and a down payment, even if you can't walk into a bank today and qualify for financing.
Very
We help
good.
you get qualified through our mortgage readiness program, and you get to live in the home and lease it while you're qualifying for financing. And she just
Nate,
thought it was the greatest
are
thing
you
ever.
reading a script, man? Because that was like verbatim.
No, I'm actually in my car
I can see
at the time. So
I love it, man. I
no.
mean, like that was literally verbatim the
Was
line.
it?
Great job. Yeah, absolutely.
So just went through that with her, and she had some questions about the program, what the timetable was, and I trying to think where so after we went over that, she wanted to know what the monthly payment was on the property, and I just let her know that, really the monthly payment depends on what you're working with as far as a down payment's concerned. And I said, do you mind me asking what you're working with as far as a down payment's concerned? She said that, well, I have 5,000 now. I could probably do 10,000, but I'd have to kind of take a look. And I let her know, I said, it sounds like you're off to a great start with the 5,000. We can definitely look to work with you, depending on what you could come forward with. And did I lose you? Are you there?
No, I'm still here. Yeah, and you froze here and there, but actually it's still pretty clear. So I think we're in good shape.
Okay, good. So she was going to talk with her fiance and then follow up with me, and then she called me back relatively quickly and let me know that she definitely had 10,000 that she could put down on the property. So then we set up a time to go and take a look at it, and I was able to work out my schedule that we could go. I think it was maybe a day and a half after that, and we went in the morning, walked around the property, and I told Kyle that once we walked around the property and we were done with it, I kind of was hearing the Scott voice in the back of my head from training when I was down with you guys last summer. And when they were done walking around, I said, so what do you think? And they said, well, we really like it. I said, awesome. I said, do you think you could see yourself living here? She said, absolutely. I said, that's great. And then we talked a little bit further. She had some property specific questions. And then ultimately we left the property that day. She was interested in putting in an offer. I had gone over more of the details of our program and how it works. Yeah, so that was kind of it. And then we went, she wanted to come back and look at the property again. So we went back a second time, 2 days after, and that was the day that we wrote the offer.
Fantastic. So you wrote it really on the second showing.
The second showing, we wrote the offer. They were, in a sense, ready at the first showing. However, it's funny how it came about, because I have another property under contract, and that property, we went to show it that day, and there is a tenant in that other property, and we had an issue where we weren't able to show the property that day. So we were just speaking in the driveway before leaving, and I was going to potentially set up a time to show the property to him another day that would work out. And she asked if I had any other properties. So I went into the other properties that I had under contract. And then I said, if you want, it's vacant. Why don't we go and do this right now? How's that sound? And she said, and she looked at her fiance and, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So I said, all right. So we drove over and looked at it. And then that was the first showing. And then they had to decide, were they interested in condo living, or were they wanting a place that had a yard and outdoor maintenance and that type of stuff? So that was really the reason that I felt that we didn't write the offer that day.
Sure. Gotcha. That makes sense.
And,
Yeah. Were they giving you buying signals on that first showing?
They definitely were. Their voices were of a higher pitch when they were talking about things, just the amount of smiling that they were doing. So I could definitely tell that they were all about it.
And those are really good. Those are interesting reads. Their smile, their intonation. That's interesting to hear you say that, and certainly makes a lot of sense when they're expressing some of their inner feelings. And so, okay, so you write the deal, and now you were asking 115. Where did they come in at the price?
So I let them know that really put their best foot forward and bring an offer that is going to be has the, how did I word it? I said, put your best foot forward with your offer, and I can certainly help you with that, but we want to make sure that you have the best consideration for what you're coming forward with. And then I asked them, I said, from a down payment, I know we spoke about what would need to be down. What are you comfortable with putting down for a down payment? And she mentioned the 10,000. And I said, okay, that's great. And then we talked about the purchase price of the home, and they weren't wanting to come down on the purchase price of the home. They felt that the price of the home was within a good range and reason, and it's in a decent neighborhood, and they felt like it was something that would make sense. There are some other properties that sold for like 112 and 107. So given the circumstances of needing a lease purchase to qualify, she understood.
Gotcha. So they came in at a full list price.
Yeah, they came in at a full list price. Yeah.
Perfect. But I got to tell you, as I'm taking some notes as we talk here, but love your style. And I would like to say that it's on behalf of the company. We're not pressure. We want people to have a great experience. And so how you handled it was just really, really great. That's the right word for it. You talked about on the phone, 5,000 is a great place to start. So we're encouraging, we're positive, we want to uplift and kind of keep people in that positive mindset. Comes back, tells you she got the 10. Even though you knew that, you still asked, are you comfortable with that? I think that's just great, man. You get a lot more bees with honey than vinegar. And I know people like to do business with us because we do have fun, but we're genuine, we're honest, and we're not here to squeeze people or put pressure on people in any way, shape, or form over the top. So you asked, and they came in right at list price. And of course, we love when it's a full list price. It can usually make the rest of the process a little bit smoother. So took a deposit check, I assume, and wrote the offer. We got them vetted, and obviously things worked out really well. So give us kind of the final breakdown of the numbers. So you have and I think I'm going to do a whiteboard example of this after this call. So you had a buyer at 115, a seller at 105 as far as contracts are concerned. Can you take us home from there?
Sure. So the one thing that I guess would be a part of the whiteboard conversation is the monthly payment. So she was comfortable with the monthly payment being $1,350. My contract with the seller was $1,400. Yeah. So we wrote the offer at $1,350, full asking price offer. And then when Kyle and I had a call with the seller to go over the details of that, which we went over the call, and then he wanted it, of course, in an email to explain everything. So we did both. But when we went in, we had gone into him with the price that we had an offer for him, terms and conditions that were favorable to him. We let him know that they would be able to be cashed out in what looked like an 18-month time period. And he, of course, had a lot of questions, and we let him know that they're coming in with a strong offer, solid down payment, and that the offer to him is 100,000, and the monthly payment being $1,350 a month.
Okay.
So he wanted some time to digest it and think about it, and then go ahead and get back to us. And then he got back to us and referenced our initial contract, not about the price of the home, but about the monthly payment, and said that he's not comfortable moving forward with the monthly payment being $1,350, and that the monthly payment needs to be $1,400 a month. And he was also somewhat concerned about the length of time being 18 months. And after working with Teresa and looking through some things with Kyle, it looked like we could make it happen with 12 months with a 6-month extension. So that's what we went with, and that's ultimately what he was okay with. I'm just trying to remember the one thing that was the kind of point of contention for him. He wasn't concerned about the 100,000 from the price. It was 5,000 less than where we were at, and he seemed fine with that. But he was hung up on the $50 a month over the year term. So in a sense, we let him know that he would be prepaid that, and then the monthly payment over the period of the term is $1,350, and then I covered the prepayment of that,
which was about $600, right? For the
$600. Yep.
Okay. Got it. Smart play. So you could have gone back to buyer and tried to bump them up, or you could have just said, they're happy, full price, good down. Let's not fix it. It's not broken. Let me just take 600 from over here, make everybody happy, get the deal together.
Yep.
Love it. And I love the fact that you guys went back to Teresa, who handles all of our underwriting, our vetting, as we're filming this. And we are big fans of her. I think she does a great job. Typically, they're always going to be conservative. They want to see our buyers succeed, so they're going to give them ample time in what they feel is needed. What you guys did is went back and looked at it and said, could we do it in 12 with a 6-month extension versus an 18-month and 6 months on top of that? Very good, very creative. And just the fact that you asked and went back, were able to get that adjusted was commendable, certainly. And obviously it was part of what got the deal done. So, and the fact that you went back, had 105 as a contract price with the seller, we went back and made an offer, 5 less, they took it. So now you got another little kiss on the back of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So absolutely. In this case, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that came up during the period of marketing the property was the seller was also trying to sell me the property, and told me, why don't you just buy it? And I let him know. I said, I do have investment property. I said, I am into investing in properties, and I have properties now. I said, I don't know that this is the right one for me. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to continue marketing it. And then he threw a number out there, and he's like, I'll sell you the property for 100,000 tomorrow.
Yeah,
like, let me know.
Hand. Yeah.
So there he kind of showed me his hand, and that's when Kyle and I thought it was best to go forward with the offer that way.
Gotcha. How about first month's payment? You've got a landlord that's used to getting a security deposit. So I have found that sometimes it can be more challenging to keep the first payment with a tired landlord or default landlord. Who kept the first payment?
He kept the first payment, and that I adjusted in the contract that we signed initially, because he was not okay with me having the first month's payment.
Yep. And again, you would find that consistently, not always, but more so with landlords than you would your average homeowner. So just to kind of keep that in the back of their minds. And so anyway, well, Nate, great job, man. I've got to tell you, I had a privilege of doing this with somebody else yesterday on another closing they had. And I'm going to say the same thing to you. We're only as good as our people, and we couldn't be more proud, more honored to have a great guy like you as a part of our family and our team, and representing us the way you do. So I want to thank you for that, commend you for that. And we hope this is the first of many more to come. We're confident they will be. And so great job. And I don't want to go without saying that. So very quickly, wife and kids, everybody, is that somebody in the background that is the weird That's my favorite. Say hi to Michael. So,
what's up, Michael? How are you?
Hello, brother.
Good, man. Good.
Just talking about his deal. Actually, we're going to send this out here.
Congrats on the close, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
First of many, man. Keep it up. That's
it.
It's one of my favorite. Anytime we're filming, Michael has a propensity to kind of come from around the camera as the creepy guy that kind of peeks into the screen. So wouldn't be a recording without Mike doing that. But before I forget, wife and kids, everybody doing well in your family? Everybody safe and well?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's doing well. And for a large part of the whole COVID thing, we were all coworkers. So that was fun, just all working together in the same house. But we get to learn a lot, got to learn a lot about each other. And my wife and I have been married for 13 years, and we've got to know each other a lot better.
I know the feeling. I'm glad everyone's still together, right? You know, kidding aside, it was a lot of kind of collateral effects of that. People being cooped up together. We know that that's a good outcome. Not everyone had the same positive outcomes. And so I say that with a smile, of course. I think my wife's probably ready to kill me, but anyway, listen, Nate, again, man, kudos to a great job. I'm going to whiteboard the deal as well, but appreciate you carving a few minutes out for us here. And any final thoughts, final pieces of advice, any takeaways, anything you want to share as we conclude?
I think the communication piece is a big part of it, and I kind of touched on that. Being consistent with your marketing, making sure that you're keeping up with the Craigslist postings, or if you have someone that's doing that for you. And then I think the other thing that is critical is trying to capture that emotion with the sale of a property, or really anything that you're trying to sell. When you're on the phone with someone, if you're able to, or if let's say you miss a call, get back to that call quickly. Usually you have a much better response. And if you're able to schedule showing the property to someone sooner than later, it seems like that emotion is kind of higher and someone's much more interested in the property. So with this one, it worked out that we were able to kind of work it on a pretty quick timetable. And I think that was definitely to the benefit of them purchasing the property and then us selling the property. So that definitely worked out well.
Very good. Great takeaways. All right, man. Listen, have a great rest of your day. I appreciate your time, and I hope we get to do a lot more of these.
Yeah, thanks. Me too. I look forward to it.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, Nate. Thanks again, man. Great job.
All right, take care. See you guys.